Welcome back to the big broadcast. We are live, coast to coast, border to border on the Rock Music Hub today. Also, kjradio.com as well. We have got a great guest joining us today here on our big program. Tarah Who is with us. Tarah, welcome to the big program. How are you, my friend?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, you have quite the reputation, a great collection of music. Before we kind of get going, he's doing the music thing.
It kind of just happened. I was always attracted to the drums, and I wanted to play, and I couldn't play because it wasn't ladylike. So, as you do, do it, and I just didn't tell anyone. I was part of a few punk rock bands, and going to rehearsals after high school, stuff like that, and I just never stopped playing music. Then I just started playing bass, and then I was doing both in different bands, and then I was just like, I have things to say, so I guess I'll just write music, and that's how I started playing guitar. I'm a self-taught musician, and I just never stopped playing, really.
I think that is tremendous that you are self-taught, because I would have never guessed.
Really?
Just listening to your music and everything, I would have never guessed that you taught yourself how to do guitar. I was expecting some big story about, well, I met this person and they taught me this and that. So that is tremendous, my friend. That is very awesome. Very awesome.
No, I still don't know what I play to this day.
Well, you're not doing a bad job, I'll have to say. You're messed up, so I think it's awesome. You have just an amazing background. Tell us a little bit about this new single, "Illusion of Freedom."
Okay. So that's, I guess you're asking about immigration?
Yes. Tell us about all this stuff.
So I just have a few stories about immigration. It started with my dad, really, because he was born in Vietnam, and then the whole family came to France because of the war and everything. So I've been in between two cultures, French culture and then Vietnamese culture. But then I was very into the whole American culture. So when I was 15, I moved to the U.S., to Kentucky, actually, and I went to high school to Kentucky. So, like being an immigrant, being around immigrants is just part of my life. And then more recently, and I think that's what your main question is, when I came back to the U.S. one time, I've always had like different types of visa, and I had an artist visa. And for some reason, the immigration officer had the idea that I overstayed my visa by 1 day, and put me in jail for that. But
wow,
anyone who's been to the U.S. knows that you can't really talk to an officer telling them that they're wrong. So you just kind of have to go with it, because otherwise it's just wrong.
Yeah.
It turns out, they arrested me in New York with Interpol, started questioning me. I found out recently that I have a whole, FBI file. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Are you, really? Okay. So it's just ridiculous, because I actually never overstayed. I could afterwards prove that he was wrong, but not at the time. So, yeah, fun stuff.
That is just so
gave
ridiculous.
Me some content
yes,
to write about.
It is ridiculous to think that you overstay your visa by 1 day, and there's all this trouble that you're in. It just.
For sure.
I just can't.
The whole thing was so ridiculous that so they even escorted me back to France. And people in the plane were looking at me as if I was a criminal.
Of course.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, I actually didn't do it. I was trolling you, and the guy looks at me, he's like, what did you say? And then I explain that to him, and then he's like, oh, ridiculous.
Yes. You know, we are so ridiculous that a small group of us elected a reality show star to run the country for 4 years.
Oh,
so yes.
No.
Tarah Who with us today. They join us live here in a broadcast. You can get more information on Instagram. It is Instagram.com/Tarah Who, and also Tarah Who is available on Facebook, Twitter, web.com. So tell me a little bit about Tarah Who, because they've got a story behind us.
Long and a short story. So I'll do a combination. Okay, so I do a combo of both.
Yes.
My name is Tarah. Just that we're friends at the same time as we were doing music, but she's French rap and I was underground and everything. When I started like booking gigs, people were like, oh, hell yes, but then we would go out there and we're like, yay, punk rock, and they're like, wait, what? You know? Or we wouldn't get the gig because they thought that we were French rap. And the thing is, that artist happened to also be half French, half Vietnamese, never used her image, so people thought that I was her. You know, so I was like, okay, well, I have to go by another name. So I started thinking about that, and I'm very tuned into anything that's Buddhism and all that. And then there's this goddess, Tarah, that I can really relate to. She's the goddess of compassion to humans, you know. And so I looked into it, and I was like, oh, great, I'm going to do Tarah. I'm going to add an H to it. That way it's not obvious, blah, blah, blah. And then when we started getting a lot of gigs, and I was coming up with band names, and they were all terrible. And my bandmates at the time were like, well, how about Tarah Who? You know, and I'm like, okay, fuck, anyway, we're going to change it later. But that was, you know, in 2006, and I think it's a little too late now to change that. so, yeah.
Tarah Who with us today. She joins us live here in our broadcast, coast to coast, border to border on iHeartRadio today. Also, the Rock Music Hub as well. And you can get more information on our website at JiggyJaguar.com, also KJagRadio.com, and we are going to post this full interview, video and audio, at our website, themic.fun, and Tarah Who with us today joins us live here on our big program. So we have the most recent single. I know, just because I always refer to myself as Jiggy Jag, the ugly American, I know I'm going to butcher this the name of this single. So bear with me. Is it La Petite Bouche? Bush. Okay, I knew I was going to butcher that.
But that was that was actually pretty good.
Well, thank you. So so tell us a little bit about this single we're going to play in a moment.
Yes, well, I wrote a few years ago for my mom, but it was for Mother's Day, and because initially this new album coming out, it was to be called Expose, where I exposed more things that happened. I was like, well, this is going to be a title to fit in because I'm exposing my feelings, you know, and stuff like that, like to my mom, which is, you know, things that, you know, usually you keep to yourself or between the family, but not like out there. So that's what the song is about. And then the title is because my mom was born from a German soldier and a French mother. And at the time, obviously, during World War II, it was no bueno. So when she was a child, the children were naming her, calling her La Petite Boche, obviously as an insult. And she really suffered from that. So I wanted to use that for two reasons. One, to remember that time of history, but also to remind people today and children today that it's not nice to call other kids names. You know, you don't know their background. You don't know anything about anyone. you know. Yep. So don't call each other names. You know. So that's awesome. The reason why.
That is a fantastic message. And thanks for doing this interview, and thanks for getting this song made, and we are going to play it. I appreciate you being with us today. Thanks for coming on and chatting with us, and have yourself a wonderful day, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to play that right now here on our big program. That was Tarah Who. Thanks for joining us today here on our big program. You can get more information on the web. We will have the complete interview up on our website at jiggyjaguar.com. Also, the mic.fun as well. Thanks for joining us here on social media and the web and everywhere else. This has been a special edition of the Rock Music Hub. We will see you next time.